cleanse my temple, your tears rinse my feet. I walk out, I'm able to carry your peace. It reminds me of a song that I heard long ago. Maybe I've always known that you were right there. A simple melody playing over and over in my dreams. Somehow out of reach, eluding me until I release. You come close to me when I release, and I let you take the lead when I release. My heart starts to see when I release. When I release, you say Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, won't you get up and start fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding. Young lion.
Maybe it's the cord. Wait, is hearing me?
Yeah, now it's there.
Check. Can you
check.
guys hear us now? Let us know if you can hear us. First time in the new studio, and we are dealing with some issues. So let us know if you can hear us, guys.
Yep, now we can hear y'all. All right, good, good.
Hey,
Oh, man.
You guys missed James'
You missed my-
introduction.
you
It
missed-
was hilarious.
You missed my whole intro where I was just laid back and suave because we're in the new studio. I was feeling real relaxed and
Smooth.
comfy, and I was just trying to, give y'all the vibes. But thank you guys for joining in with us this evening. We are live from our new studio, our new location. And it's a little bit different, a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chill, but we still going to keep the same conversation like we always do. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. So before we get into that, shout out to everybody who's in the chat. Thank you guys for hitting those likes and those hearts and everything and all the comments in the beginning. I saw Mom in there. I see
George.
Shawiqwa. Sharik was in there. Emma's in there. I forgot Emma's
Courtney.
shirt at soccer.
Sharon.
Yeah, appreciate all you guys. Make sure you guys share the video, hit the like button, share this video. If you're watching on Rumble, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the share button and just share this video. Help us out in the algorithm because they are not favorable to us. But in the meantime, if you want to support what we got going on, you can go to our Patreon, of course, patreon.com/youngliontv. Shout out. It's been getting a little activity lately, so we appreciate y'all for signing up and those that are contributing to what we got going on. This is how we're able to, keep elevating things. This is, this setup and everything took a while. Me and James was in here drilling holes, running Ethernet cables through the ceiling this morning, trying to make sure we could get this stream going for you guys. So, it's been a process. It's been a process, but everything that you guys support goes to continue to expand this. If you want to hit us on the Cash App for just a donation, all of that stuff helps. It's just $YoungLionTV. And we're going to keep elevating what we're doing here. We're going to keep growing the pride, keep growing the kingdom, and keep having these conversations about serious topics. So, yeah. Other than that, we got a show coming up in a couple weeks. August 27th, we will be at the Gathering Place in Germantown in Philadelphia. If you're from the Philly, Jersey area, you can come see us live. It's going to be a great show. There's only a few tickets left, so make sure you guys go there. Go to the Facebook page. It's on our page, and if you look up the Gathering Place Philly on Facebook, you can get all the information for the event. It's us and our sisters Joy and Peace. Ike. It's going to be a really great show. We've been like putting a show together for you guys for a while now, and the rehearsals are going great. So come to that show, August 27th. Get your tickets before they are gone. And anything else that I'm forgetting?
No, it's going to be an experience.
Yeah, it is. It is. It
I'm
really
looking
is.
forward to it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you guys perform live in a while.
It's been a minute, right?
Yeah.
I think we haven't had a show since the pandemic shut down.
Wow.
Like our show. We just been...
Last year.
Did we do one last year?
Yeah, this.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We did do, and that was dope. That was very, very exciting. Yeah, you're right. Because I remember there was like a guy who was mad that people weren't wearing their masks in there.
He was walking around asking if people were vaccinated.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
He
what
was. He was doing that. Okay. Yeah, guys.
I
Shout
just
out.
shared the link to the event
Did you share it in the chat?
in the chat. Yes.
Word.
Click
So,
on it. Get your tickets.
Get your tickets.
While they last.
I already know there's a bunch of people in the chat now who already got tickets who are going, so we appreciate y'all. Looking forward to this show. What else, guys? In the new room, how do you guys feel about the new setup?
Looks good.
I love it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
You can't really see it, but behind the three of those guys, go back to them real quick. That is a banner above them that says Jatan, and it's in the,
see the bottom
styling of one of our T-shirts that is also available in the merch store. And it's all of the words are lyrics from the songs on that album. That's the Back to Life album. So that's a cool T-shirt that we have available. And I want to point out over here, if you look at me, you can't really see it in the shot, but I was paying homage to the fatherly legends we have in our. That's your dad's guitar,
Right,
acoustic,
right. Oh,
and that's
nice.
my dad's bass right there,
Right.
up on the wall. So, you know,
You can't see the guitar,
yeah, you can't see it in the
Yeah.
shot.
but you can see the bass.
And then above us right here, so right there is our Back to Life album. And then on this side,
is cool.
that's our Jatan Come Closer album cover shot right there. And yeah, just some random miscellaneous gear and stuff. But yeah.
Stuff that means something
it
else.
means something to us.
Yeah.
But
Vibes.
it's also cool to be in a location where we can just kind of leave the setup as it is.
Yeah.
Mom's like, with my help, Jamie.
Yes, you did. Oh, you gotta make sure you
She
get
gotta
your
put
credit.
it in.
Make sure everything's known.
I mean, there was a lot of help going on from a lot you did.
Thank you for your help, Mom.
You did help
Yes,
a
we
lot.
love
Mom.
you.
We thank you and we love you. But
Thanks
you
for giving
need,
me a ride today, Mom.
yeah. Yeah, but we got the fellas with us. We got John producing. Does he have a camera? No, he doesn't.
Have a camera because he don't.
My
Yeah.
beard's
want
not
the
there
camera.
yet.
John,
He feels naked right now.
but he has definitely got a nice little
Yeah.
whole little control
little
station.
corner office.
Yeah, he's got a little control area over there, looking like he's in the Starship Enterprise. But yeah.
How do you feel?
How do I feel? I feel good, man. Well, for me, it's dope because it's right in my basement. So
yeah, but just so people know, like the setup and then taking everything down. Every time we did this, it was like it takes like 2 hours sometimes.
Dude,
Yeah,
I would-
setting up and breaking down.
most days I would leave my house at 5:30
Yeah.
to get to the office and start with the setup,
Right.
and then we still wouldn't get started on time at 8:00. So, you
There's
know,
a lot that goes into it.
yeah, people don't understand how much. Like you were here today, as we're just like
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like running cables, just doing things, trying to get everything situated, and there's still more stuff that I want to do to streamline things. Like this was just to get it up and running by tonight, so we could be live.
Yeah.
But there's some other equipment that I got coming that's gonna help with the setup and everything. But
Yeah. Well, great job, man. You guys did awesome.
thanks, man. Thanks. I'm glad
Thank
we're gonna
you.
have a better
Thank you
mic
for
stand
running
for you.
the Ethernet cable, James.
Come on,
We
get some
appreciate
Patreon going. I need a better mic stand.
Yeah, James was really helped me because I almost forgot about running Ethernet down here.
Yeah.
I just took it for granted. I'm thinking like, oh yeah, we'll just go online. But one of the things you don't want to do is when you're streaming, you don't want to be on the Wi-Fi connection, especially, there's so many devices in this house connected to a Wi-Fi. And we
That should be in the basement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're down here and I'm thinking like, oh no, this ain't gonna work. How can I run, the internet cabling down here? So we had to get the drill out and and go through a couple holes in the ceiling, the holes in the walls, and get the cables down here. But we're good to go now. So
Did you have to use the knocking technique to find where to?
we did, and it didn't. Look, you can see the first hole. So we're gonna have to patch that up. But yeah, our cousin said, "Good night, good night to you."
Is that a hello, good night? Or?
Yeah, that's the Trini good night.
Oh, that's my cousin.
Yeah,
Oh,
Rose.
that's right.
Yeah.
Hello.
But yeah, so it's cool to be here. It's cool to be, how do you guys feel like going from the chairs, the stiffness of the chairs set up
man,
to
I'm
being
so comfy.
being
Way
on
better.
the
I
couch?
gotta
You
make
can
sure
kinda-
I'm not tired.
Yeah.
I say I feel that the energy here feels a little different already.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
feels a little different.
like in what way?
It feels more like, well, number one, this is
Yeah.
the house I grew up in.
Yeah, you just took a picture because this used to be your bedroom.
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it feels good. But more than that, I'm happy to see you guys not put. I don't think people understand what you guys go through. I'm not electronically inclined to all this stuff. I can't really help you guys.
Right.
That's not my world. But watching all that you guys do, and I do remember when I'm working in the shop and I see you leaving early,
Yeah.
all that work that goes in, and you guys having your jobs, you're leaving to come help, then breaking it all down.
Yeah.
Like it is a lot.
Yep.
It is a lot, so.
It is. And we used to have to do it twice a week when we were doing Freddy's.
Right.
Yeah.
So this feels more comfortable already because
Yeah.
it's good to see you guys not,
Yeah. Yeah.
have to worry about that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is going to be set in place, and then we can just come in and fire up the live stream. Hopefully, it'll help us be able to do it more often too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Once we're capable, we can just jump in and go live. Or if anybody wants to come over and like do a video, we'll have the setup is here, so you can just fire it up and just get some content made.
Yeah.
Some
Shout
house
out to Robert Ruffins.
Ruffus.
Sorry. I'm sorry, dude. Messing up your name. So he's a Freddie drummer for Freddie.
Bass player.
Bass.
Yo, what is going on with my mind tonight?
And he's watching. Make sure you get him, Rob.
But
Get him, Rob. Get him.
But you know what? Hey, I can make mistakes.
Yes,
Um,
you can.
So, but he's going to be playing with us
September 4th.
September
September
4th,
Yeah.
which is going to be cool. Playing that bass.
Yes, sir.
We're excited for that.
What's the event for muscular... How do you say that, Jay?
Muscular dystrophy.
Dystrophy. Muscular dystrophy. Benefit in National Park, New Jersey.
Rob said he wanted to do a bass video. Okay, you can come do a bass video. The fees and everything, we'll work that out. What it's going to cost to rent the space.
You want a photo
And,
shoot too? There's fees for that too.
We got to come up with a name for the studio. The Young Lion Studio. You can come film at the Young Lion Studio, and we'll work out the fees later. Rob said he's excited about, I guess, the show.
Shout out to our friend Rose from Brooklyn. She's on here.
Okay.
Is she?
Yeah.
And all right, so let's get into some stuff, guys.
We're gonna start with
Well, let's see. I got some stuff here. We'll start with.
I need to stop looking at your screen.
I was just gonna make a comment on that. I was like, stop looking at the
I
screen.
can't help it.
Yeah, he gives it away every time.
Yeah,
I just saw a big smirk on his face.
we got some stuff here. So we know what's going on with Trump being investigated by the FBI right now,
Yeah.
and all the information coming out about how he was giving away, he had top secret nuclear codes, like all these conspiracy theories that were going around, and how like you heard about them taking his passports, and how they lied and said the media came out and lied and said that they didn't have them, and then they admitted to having them or whatever.
Yeah,
so
they took 3 of them. Well, why are they taking
one was
an expired one?
Why are they taking any of them?
Right. Yeah, you're right.
But the investigation, someone posted up on Twitter. I just thought it was funny about how while they're doing all of this to try to find anything on Trump, this is Hunter Biden boarding Air Force One to go on family vacation. Like nothing to see with this guy. Just he's just chilling, just living his life
while he got crack videos out there.
Right.
Not only crack videos, all the
prostitution.
Yeah, prostitution, everything.
Alleged underage videos.
Yeah.
All right,
and
so
they can't find the leaker still, right? From the Supreme Court.
No, they still don't know who that is.
They still don't know who that is.
They don't know who that is, and they still haven't found. What was the guy from January 6th who was telling everybody to go into the Capitol?
Oh yeah, the informant guy.
Yeah, they still haven't did anything with him. All right, moving on. Let's go to Auntie's video that just went viral, where people were making fun of another one of her nonsensical speeches.
Let's hear it.
With the exploration of space being defined in the 20th century, we know that living in this century, we must think about where we now stand and where we must go. So while it was defined quite well in the 20th century, the opportunity of space must guide our work in the 21st century.
I don't know what that was.
Yo, I don't know who.
I was just gonna say that.
Like,
who's writing?
Who's writing her stuff?
Right.
It must be her, cause
Dude,
It has to be
no
her.
way. She
You
can't be.
think
no.
it's her coming up with this
She's
stuff?
that bad, man.
There's no
'cause
way.
She like 3 or 4 people quit on her.
I think she has an ego.
she can't
And I
hold.
think she doesn't want anybody. She wants to do it, but in her mind, it sounds.
Honestly,
Bro, there's
this
no
sounds
way.
like when I'm writing a paper and I did it last minute and I'm just trying to like make the
Fill up.
words go on.
Yo, that is a great point. That is the sound of someone who, like, when the teacher's like, "So tell me what the book was about."
It is about deeper thought
right.
and the proximity
Right.
of the mind,
Right.
which can benefit your cerebral cortex of the longevity of the equilibrium.
Oswald Bates.
It's funny because my kids, they gotta you gotta restate
The question.
you gotta
the
restate.
answer.
It's like the restate, and then you gotta do all these things, and it's like she's literally, it's like she's doing all that.
Yeah.
Restate what was already there.
Yeah.
Right. She doesn't
just
know
long-
she doesn't know how to ad lib.
No.
So, politicians, they all talk in circles,
Right.
But she doesn't. She just wants to use big words.
Yeah.
Or she wants
to sound profound,
Yeah,
Yeah.
profound,
but
you know
she's
what I mean?
saying nothing.
Right.
Like she's literally talking in circles. But the thing is, that's why I was saying who writes her stuff, and maybe it is her, because every time it's the same type of
It's the same
speech
trend.
pattern,
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
like she just keeps repeating the same words, but really gets to no point.
Yeah.
And
that I'm fine with people not being amazing speakers.
Yeah, me too.
Because it shows vulnerability, but the issue is like you're acting like you're a great speaker.
Yes.
But it's going nowhere.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. You can tell she's not genuine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, he's not the best speaker,
Right.
but he's genuine when
Yeah.
when he's talking. He's a little much.
And he's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's the other part. It's like
Yeah.
he's funny.
I remember seeing something they were talking about, like they always know, like they'll write something for him. They always know that he's gonna read
Yeah.
the first
And then
3
just-
sentences,
and then just
everything
go
else is just
Yeah.
And then it'll just start going on.
But that's why he also gets himself in trouble a lot,
Yeah.
because he will say some dumb stuff.
Well, part of
gets
that too
him-
is people caught on to the over polishedness of politicians,
yeah.
and or the circular way in which they talk. So, he not being a career politician he spoke in a certain way where it resonated with a lot of people. Who
Yeah.
just,
Everybody tries to be Obama.
Right.
He's a great speaker, man.
Yeah.
He was.
Like,
He was.
and
He's a good orator.
charismatic.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
everybody can't do that.
And most of the
You
presidents-
shouldn't try.
Yeah,
actually, Clinton was a good speaker too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
that's the thing. Like they're great liars.
That's why they like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're great.
They're great at
They're
it.
great liars and
Yeah.
explaining things to make people to convince people
Right.
that it's good what they're doing, which and it's complete opposite.
Yeah.
You know, they're
You
taking
know who was
from-
terrible at it was Hillary.
Yeah.
Like, it was so transparently bad.
Yeah.
Like that she was
Yes.
pandering at all
Yes.
times. That
Right.
even people
Hot
like-
sauce.
Yeah, hot
Yeah.
sauce. I don't need no waste time. Like, when she,
It's like
I
AOC.
don't
Yeah.
think you should do the Negro spiritual thing. No, leave me alone. I got
they're
it.
gonna love this.
Madam, no, I'm keeping that in there. Beyonce said it's okay.
Yeah.
But I gotta get like with Obama, right? So he was more, even though he was a little dry sometimes. He had good comebacks. If like he wouldn't just if you question him, you assassinate him, he would give it right back to you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And
But he
had-
didn't do it in like how Joe does it. you know?
yeah.
I mean, you got to give it to Obama. He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, and
Definitely.
he's a smooth guy. But that don't equate to being
No,
good.
no,
you know.
no. Yeah.
So I think we need to look past that. Like, there is no type of smoothness in Kamala.
No.
no.
It's
Yeah.
just like
That's why she didn't make it out of the Democratic
They hated her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why your mic is like.
when she was running.
It's like not turned towards you.
This
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
about to break it.
This way.
Yeah. See if you can get it the top turned towards you.
Yeah.
That's why I sent the video of the girl I sent. She takes her voice and she just reenacts the I put it in the group text.
When did you do that?
Today, right?
A couple days ago.
Dude, I've been so out of the loop with a lot of that because I just been.
she does come out. She does a great job.
Does she? I
Because
got.
she looks like her too. So she
gotta
does.
find
She
it.
does a good job.
Oh, I see it. Is there two of them?
There's go to the second one.
Okay. Let me pull it up.
She does a great job. Because it's her voice. It's just her mannerisms.
I like her because she's
Strength of our
goofy.
nation
Oh, okay.
has always been that despite the odds and the obstacles, we push to move forward.
Yes.
That we are guided by what we see that can be, unburdened by what has been. Strength of our nation
Yeah. She does.
despite the odds and the obstacles.
Yo, this is
We
good.
push to move forward. That we are guided by what we see that can be, unburdened by what has been.
I love it. I love it. But again, like it's the same type of
That's
speech.
what I think he's right. Because I don't think he's right at her. I think
Yeah.
she wants. She's like, no, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I want to do it because she thinks she's killing it. You know what I mean?
But like Stan said, like she's had the worst turnover of any.
Vice president.
You know,
But they're gonna blame that on the fact she's a woman, though. You know.
Even
there's so many women in Congress and in the
Yeah.
Senate. It's just like she, for some reason, no one
Yeah.
wants to
Resonate
work with
with
her.
her,
yeah.
They keep quitting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be.
she's toxic.
When you look at that, she's a performer, but bad at it. Like she's she's an actress that is bad at acting.
Yeah.
You know, but she thinks
Amber
she's
Heard.
great. Yeah. So like she's unconvincing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like it's like watching a caricature movie that is like obvious. Watching what's it called? What's the dude? Tyler Perry movies.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Hey,
Like-
people like Tyler Perry movies.
but they become
not
so
one.
obvious.
Yeah.
You know what
It's
I
a
mean?
caricature. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what she does. She because she has no depth. And not saying that she can't have depth, but I'm just saying it becomes so obvious, you know.
Yeah, it's
And
obvious
it's like
she's-
kids acting,
Yep.
you know.
It's obvious she's phony.
Yeah.
And that's why she doesn't resonate with people. That's why she only reason why she's in office is because it's an unelected position. Really,
Right.
You know what I mean?
And Joe needed her for
Yeah.
the black.
I mean, he
vote.
came out and said it.
Yeah.
And then you have people like Charlemagne who said like, as soon as he picks a black female VP, I'm voting for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know how many people
Is
went
It
along
was
with
so
that?
Is that all
obvious.
it
I
takes?
knew.
Well,
I
he
knew
kept
it
he
was
was
gonna-
he was saying it. He said, "I'm gonna pick
Yeah.
a black woman."
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like you said, a lot of people like the Tyler Perry movies.
The optics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people like watching the caricatures.
Yeah.
you know, which kind of sucks.
Same thing with the Supreme Court thing.
Yep.
It's so political.
All right, let's keep it moving. Oh, first I want to see the other one.
Where does a guy get a right to say what a woman is? Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
No.
Can you tell me what a cat is?
This is actually a genuine mistake. I am
Yo,
That's
you know-
from the What Is
That's
a
from
Yeah,
What Is a
that's
Woman.
from the
Woman.
street. the
But
street
you know
interviews.
what's funny though is why does that seem to be the answer that they give when
Every
you
time.
challenge them a
Every
little
time.
bit?
Right. Yeah.
Like that video that went viral that you sent us.
Oh, the Trump thing.
Yeah, that I
the
had
guy
that.
protesting in front of the
Yes.
Trump
Yeah.
building
One
Yeah.
question they asked him and he was like,
because he was calling him a criminal.
right,
Yeah.
right.
You know,
Yeah,
and
He's broken so many crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
or
many
he-
laws.
yeah.
What was
He's
Well-
committed so many crimes.
yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
and then he
yeah.
says, well, "Okay, well, what?" Simple question.
Yeah.
What crimes has he committed?
Yeah. I heard this quote from Denzel. I don't know if he created it, but he said, "We live in a time where the desire to be 1st versus the desire to be right. Being first in the news, it doesn't matter if you put it out and it's wrong. Just be the first to do it. So we live in a time now where news isn't really about information. It's about just putting it out there
Story, yeah.
and just people consuming it. So whatever you put out there, it's out there in perpetuity because no one's going to challenge it. And even if it's a recanted thing,
Yep.
no one sees the
They don't.
the recantation. They just see they remember the headline is what he was saying.
And not only that, now it's even worse because Tim Pool was talking about that today because now, CBS came out and said that Trump was lying even though they were wrong. A bunch of news outlets came out and said that, went with the whole nuclear codes narrative even though that was wrong. But what he was saying is that it's beneficial for them to make that story up and then go with fake sources because they still make the money off advertising.
Yep.
They get all the clicks that gets them ad revenue. So once they do the recant, even if they do put now that's going
Right.
to get monetized too.
Right.
So they get double money off one story.
Right. And it's because we as a society, we aren't holding these people responsible. Like, people will think, wow, we use a clip to show that they lied.
Yeah.
But there's really no repercussions.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, there's no responsibility. There's no integrity.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's more about the money.
Right.
yeah.
They're putting that first.
Let me show the video though of this guy.
Provable criminal acts. Well, I'm just, I'm done talking.
Is this unprecedented to arrest a former president for not turning in
The
documents?
former president that had committed this many provable criminal acts.
So what are the provable criminal acts, I guess?
Provable criminal acts. Well, I'm just, I'm done talking.
Is this
Yeah.
unprecedented?
Yeah.
But see, that's a good thing. Like, how about you be responsible for the things that come out of your mouth?
Yeah.
You know?
Especially if you're going to stand here and protest something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What's it saying in James? It says, be slow to speak.
Yeah.
Right? Be quick to hear. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
issue. People are quick to
Yep.
speak. And quick to be angry and judge.
I don't even think they really, those people like him, they don't really care. They just want to be seen. You know what I mean? Because
Well,
No, I think they do care. They just are just emotional.
Do you think they
Well,
really
no.
care or do you think they virtue signal care?
it's virtually care.
And they pay attention to
Virtual
CNN
signal
or
care.
whoever
Yeah.
you get their
Yeah.
news from.
Right.
But then
Told
it's
them
like
to
they
go.
fool themselves to think that they care.
Well, again, it's the
You know what I'm
difference
saying?
between empathy and compassion.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, compassion is connected to honor. Empathy is just you just feel bad for somebody, and then you go with that. That's empathy is more about feeling. So that's why we're living in a country that's feminist driven right now. That's the rule. You know what I mean? Like white males, they're
the devil right now.
Well, it's been pushed that way. So they're losing control. So now, like a guy like that, in order for him to say something, he's got to go with the empathy. You know, he's got to go with that empathy card. You know,
right? Or else he's a bad guy automatically.
He goes back to being the white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just-
and that's
just
why,
the
like,
white
happy wife, happy life, right? So a woman's going to be more empathetic to a situation, but a dad needs to be a little more stern, right? Dad has compassion because the kids come in the right way, honor, right? Now you're going to be more compassionate, but if the kid don't come in the right way, well, then you're not going to have empathy on them. You're not going to have compassion because they're not coming in the right way, and you got to get them to understand that, right? But the wife is like, oh no, just let him go, let him be, you know. But then a man can be too overly driven and wanting the kid to see that they're wrong, you know. And so you have this pushback where the feminist movement caused people to. It's always that victim thing, that pendulum that swings. You have people in the Bible using the verse from Ephesians 5 that speaks about wives submit to your husbands. Yeah. You know, and then men use that in the wrong way, right? And that became a thing. And then you better submit to me, woman. And then people get triggered by that because of the torment and the trauma that they went through because people use that in the wrong way. No. And now you have women who are fighting against that, right?
Yeah.
But then it
women's
becomes
not supposed to do what we tell them to do. Joking.
Well, yeah. If it's in the right way, if it's in love, right? Again, compassion.
Well, it says husbands love your wives,
right?
Wives.
As
Christ loves the church.
Loves the church.
Yeah,
missed that part.
Yeah, so that's the key. Why was there such an issue? Because men weren't loving first. You gotta love your wife first.
Yeah, and then she'll submit.
Right.
That's the order.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to the virtual signal thing. I think there's always been people who want attention, right? But I think now more than ever because of because we often talk about kids being affected. Like we clearly can see because we're that bridge generation where we grew up without readily technology, right? And then right when we were in our mid-20s, technology hit. Like I'm talking about the ability to talk to see and talk to people and fans and all this kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
All right. But what has happened is there's been a concentrated effort to kind of like almost make it look like this only affects children, right? But really, it affects anybody who pours themselves into this because the algorithm is geared to release a certain amount of endorphins for likes, for clicks, and all stuff like that. I'm not saying that 20, 30 years ago, if this guy stood out there, he wouldn't get attention, but this is a different kind of attention now. So here they go make a banner, they get out there, they're hoping that the news come. Yeah. So they don't even know who's coming. They're just hoping that they get some form of attention.
Social currency.
Yeah. Right? So then here comes a guy with a mic. He asks him a question. He's not even prepared for that question.
Right.
You know what?
and
you run away.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that people could do, because this guy who's asking the questions, by the way.
I don't even know.
Okay. But this will never be showed on the mainstream because they don't want to make anybody who seems like they're like anti-Trump, look foolish.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or look overzealous, you know what I mean? But I think the era of social media, or what I'm trying to say about it affecting kids, is not. It's not completely true. It affects anybody who pours themselves into this thing, and they're looking for some sort of validation through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the like button, the emotions.
Yeah, I want to be seen. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I can't go that far because I don't know the intent of this man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might be another reason. But none of those reasons are good,
right?
Because he doesn't know what he's talking about,
right.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that. Like,
no.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I mean, none of us know. None of us know anybody who's doing whatever on there. But I'm saying there is something to be said about this new era of
I agree with you.
I
Yeah.
need to be seen.
And I think that definitely plays a part into it.
None of us know he could
looked,
be pure.
He looked like his wife made him go out there.
Nah, dude. Nah, he didn't.
Yeah.
No, because the guy whose wife made him go out there, he's not getting in front of that camera.
Yeah.
He's sitting there and he can't wait to go home. He's on his phone looking at sports scores.
Talk to
This guy looked like he wanted to be out there because he thinks he's gonna, get some social points.
You know what this is on a satirical way? You remember that Key and Peele skit where they go into the hood?
Yes.
And he's like, "There's a story here."
Yes.
And he's like, "There ain't no story here."
Right.
And then they make up the
They
unicorn
make up
story.
yeah.
This is what it is for liberal whites.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And they've done a hell of a number. Shout out to Tiffany real quick. She said, "Oh man, I love the new studio, guys. It's tight. What's up?"
Hey,
thanks, Tiff.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, man. But something I want to get into the next clip because you were talking about empathy and where empathy leads, like the wrong kind of empathy.
Yeah, too much.
Too much empathy.
Right.
And we're seeing this more and more and more. But this video went viral because it's another example of where the ultimate empathy can push and where it can lead to. So we're gonna react to this. I'm gonna play it for you guys.
Folks, my name is Miranda. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and sex therapist in Erie, Pennsylvania. And today I want to talk about minor attracted persons. And I want to talk about minor attracted persons because they are probably the most vilified population of folks in our culture. And most folks are making incorrect assumptions about them without actually knowing much about them. And those assumptions create harm for an already marginalized population. You may have noticed that I'm using the term.
I just want to take a pause for a second and break this down for those that are watching that don't understand what she's talking about. Just break that down in your mind, and then look at that chyron right there, the lower third, minor attracted person versus pedophile. So the minor attracted person is their way of destigmatizing the idea of a pedophile.
They're trying to change the language.
But she's calling them a marginalized group.
Yep. Yep.
You see?
And you're already familiar with that
Hence,
phrase.
you become a victim. Hence, you have to have empathy.
Right. Hence, they're going to try to get black people on board with this one, too.
Exactly.
Because they always use black people as the catalyst. They always use slavery and racism as the catalyst for why this is important. So I hope y'all see what's coming.
Yeah.
But this is a professional. This is an expert.
Yeah.
Trusty experts, okay? She, her pronouns, bald head, glasses.
Term minor attracted
Cats in the
persons
background.
is sometimes abbreviated to MAX.
So you shouldn't be listening.
Instead of the more commonly used term pedophile. And I'm doing this because the term pedophile has moved from being a diagnostic label to being a judgmental, hurtful insult that we hurl at people in order to harm them or slander them. I also prefer person-first language that recognizes that any label we might apply to a person is only part of who they are and doesn't represent everything that they are. We are all people first with many different facets or parts of ourselves, and this includes folks who are attracted to minors. So to start with, let's talk about what a minor attracted person is or who they are. This
How long
term
is this
simply
video?
means that
I don't know.
Because I'm
has
not trying
an
to.
It's only
sexual or
it's only
romantic
another
attraction
minute.
Okay.
to minors.
Not
They've
even.
not chosen this attraction, just as the rest of us have not chosen whatever.
We don't got to watch wrestling, but you
Okay.
get the point.
So
you get the point.
They have not chosen their attraction.
Yes.
You, in every way, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You choose what you are attracted to.
Yeah, but this goes against everything that, they preach in the, the whole, the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is what
it's what you're saying. Empathy, too much empathy leads to chaos.
Right.
And that's the problem.
This is why Twitter is trying to has banned the word groomer. This is why there's that whole movement to try to vilify anyone who uses that term.
Right.
Because there's this weird connection, like certain people like this woman and other people are trying to pretty much add this group into the LGBTQ, swath.
They're trying to normalize it.
Yeah.
And it's not normal.
But they're trying to add it into that. Like they're trying to bring it into that.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, they're trying to say, it's like this weird thing. Like if you say that someone is a groomer, it's offensive to gay people. Like how?
That's what I was about to say. Like, just watching that and then just knowing that they're okay with grooming kids and talking to kids, little kids, like 5-year-old kids.
Yeah.
They do not care about kids.
Right.
She's saying it's okay.
Yeah.
No, they care about themselves, and that's the point. Like, if you look at a mother who is rebellious against the husband, wife that's rebellious against the husband, and she defies the husband in the husband disciplining the child, right? Why? Because she has empathy on the child. But what that causes is the child not to grow up in the wisdom of the father and the mother. Because when two come together, they become one, and it's one in wisdom. But when you're separated, you got a divided house, right? And that's what now you have division. And that's what empathy does. This is like how you divide. This is socialism. This is how you destroy countries, houses, families. Because it's not about the head of the house. It's not about order of things. It's about destroying the order of things.
Right.
So if you start to disrespect your leaders, if you start to think it's okay to come against the way the order works, for your good, for your benefit, everything goes into chaos. And they use empathy for it, right?
Yeah.
That's why when you have people who are organizers, right, in cities or whatever, they're organizing you because of your complaints, the issues you have. They're bringing up those complaints. They're because nobody's perfect. You're always going to have problems. You got to work through those problems, right? But the problem is when you don't come to somebody in the order, like if you have a problem with your father, you come to him I don't come to him like you're a horrible dad.
Yeah.
I come to him that this is the thing I don't understand, or this is the thing that I'm not getting, Dad.
Right.
And I'm coming to you because I trust you, that we have a good relationship, that we'll work it out. That I'm coming to you in that hope. I'm not coming to you that you're an a-hole and everything you say is BS. You get what I'm saying? Like, so there's an order there.
But that only works if that order is already established. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a chaotic situation to begin with, that order is not there. So it's easy for someone else to come in and be like, yo, your dad's a piece of crap. You know what I mean? And then you start being like, yeah, he is.
Even
you know
if,
what I mean?
but even if he's not, even if, like, nobody's perfect.
Right.
So there might be some things. And if you let that in, like, listen, he does this and this and this.
But that's what I'm saying. So like if you already have it in your heart to honor your parents, honor your father, or that order has already been established, it's easier for you to not let those things affect you.
Fall for that.
You know.
Yeah.
So back to what you were talking about real fast before I forget. You were talking about like you don't let the child grow. I'm kind of dealing because I moved my mom in. You know, we all know, but I'm sharing that I moved my mom in throughout this whole process
of divorce.
Divorce and stuff like that. So I'm dealing with something with my mom. She loves so much. She loves Noah. That's the reason why, she decided to come move in.
Right.
So,
not for you. She don't love you. Like
yeah. No, she loves me too. But so Noah's been wanting to cook, right?
Yeah.
Himself. Like yesterday after rehearsal, he called me. He's like, "Daddy, can I make a grilled cheese?" He never did it before. He was like, "Can you run through it with me?"
Yeah.
So my mom has an issue with him, turning on the stove and cooking.
Right.
So like I've been,
Bro, he's 12.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I just told her, I'm like, Mom, like you had to work back in the day. We were like 6, 7 years old,
Right.
turning on the stove, making noodles.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And
but what?
yeah, so like that right there. Like what does too much empathy do? It causes you to
it
control.
stunts your growth.
Yeah.
Right, because you're never going
Right.
to give them the opportunity to maybe mess up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to try to control everything. Oh, no, don't do that because of my fear.
Right.
I'm going to do it for you.
I'll do it for
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yep.
And clearly, that's not her culture. So she's been indoctrinated by this one.
She's gotten soft, bro.
Yeah.
I tell her all the time, like,
Yeah.
This is a fear.
you got soft.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, she's in your house now, so she's got to respect the order.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But she can come to you and say, like, well,
Yeah.
I
Right.
feel like this.
Yeah.
But they're still in order.
Yeah. But, you know, I honor my mother, you know, because without her, I wouldn't be here. Noah wouldn't
Yeah,
be here.
sure.
But,
Right.
you know, I sit and have a conversation with her. I'm like,
But that could be a form of like sometimes it's a handicap that's if you don't fix it, it could get worse.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's why it's important to have.
conversation.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say it's important to have the order, the structure of order in
Yeah.
place because, you know, if you don't,
Right.
we were talked about this on the last podcast. Like the woman's nature is to be empathetic,
Yeah.
but that can be a detriment to a child, especially a young man. You know,
Yeah.
because you
Which we
never,
see now,
yeah,
evidence of,
I mean, it's running rampant in the Gen Z and the younger millennials,
Yeah,
where it's
across all
like
demographic,
young men
economically,
are not growing
Yeah, socially.
the way they used to. You know?
Yeah. Can we go back to? I wanted to ask this thing. So, do you think with what's happening here, this changing and altering the term pedophile to minor attracted person,
It's wizardry.
right? To me, what a lot of people aren't picking up is this: the kids that are going to be more affected by this are the kids that are coming from single parent broken homes because there's something missing, right? And these type of people are going to latch onto them because they're already saying, if your parents don't accept you, I'm your mom,
Right.
I'm your dad,
Right.
right? So I think what we have to do is we have to be very careful about who are these quote unquote experts, you know, because we don't know. They're just saying that. You know what I mean? And when we see school boards start electing to have certain people step on board, like we really got to do our research to find out like who is influencing who.
Yeah.
Like who's here. You know, we can't just assume that everyone here is just a math teacher and that's all they do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and we're so trained to just, basically send our kids off in the hands of people we have no idea
Right.
what they think, what they care about, what their ideas are about things. You
Right.
know?
And it was okay for a little bit, it seems, but
Yeah,
not anymore.
Especially the way the agendas are moving now, and
it's coming
dude,
from the top.
I have so many videos. I'm gonna do like a compilation one day and just show it on the podcast. And it's like when you see how many teachers, elementary teachers especially, are pushing this stuff in their classrooms, like making it a point to do it. It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's connected to feminism,
Yeah.
And trying to break away. Like, women's rights is important, but to the point where you're fighting against men, now we have the problem. And what happens is now you feel like I don't have to respect anything you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's just rebellion. And rebels that congregate together are just more rebels, right? And the end of that is death. Because people who rebel against their parents don't have the right wisdom or the enough information to actually make it on their own. So they're
Right.
going to die.
Right.
You know what I mean? Eventually, because you're going to get stabbed in the back, because everybody's really rebels are for themselves. And the only reason why you get together with other rebels is because it's about your own selfish agenda, and you're seeing that. So these people they have no problem with saying these things to the kids because they're rebelling. They have that rebellion in them already.
Yeah.
Which is connected to what kind of order that they grow up in.
Right.
In their houses. And again, this is a feminization of our society. Because you need that Now, let me say this. There has to be a balance. I'm not saying men are that's the thing. I'm saying that there has to be a balance.
Yeah.
you have to have men who are leaders and stand their ground and become the ones who make sure there's honor in the house, right? But at the same time, again, it can't be swinging all the way that way,
Right.
Because now you get abused people,
Yeah.
you know, because it becomes violent,
Right.
you know. And women know how to love,
Right.
in a way where they can chill men out,
Right.
You know, there has to be that
It's
balance.
that balance, yeah.
But when that feminine thing becomes too much, you're gonna rebel because you're gonna pick empathy over everything, and then you feel like you have the right to come against your husband, you know. And then you grow up kids like that. Now your kids grow up like, I don't respect my dad. My mom don't respect my dad,
Right.
You know. And you're seeing that. Then these kids grow up and they go to college and they're being taught even greater.
They're being told that both of your parents are idiots.
Right.
Yeah.
Disrespect your whole family.
Yeah.
And then they become the teachers and they're like, well, I don't respect my family.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not just on this generation. This started happening a long time ago.
Yeah.
Through movies and TV shows, the dumb dad.
It was a long march.
You
They've been doing it.
Yeah.
It's been in the works.
The last part I wanted to touch on with this thing is because this resonates, right? So I would say this. You know, I get that you're an adult and you want to choose a lifestyle for yourself because that's a lifestyle, you know. You don't need to have sex, you want to have sex. So whoever you want to do that as an adult, you have that you have free will to do that.
Yeah.
But why aren't professionals, and I'm talking beliefs, I'm talking about professionals, not asking why are these people so intent on getting young children to bend their way?
Yeah, man.
Why is there such a push?
Because they're the future.
Wait, what? Say that again?
Why is there such a push where professionals are not asking, wait, why you guys want to educate these kids? You want to advocate so hard to teach these kids this?
So you mean professionals like the one we just saw?
Yeah.
No, I'm just in general, not just her, but I'm talking about across the boards, where psychologists, doctors, who understand the long-term effects of what could happen. You know what I mean?
They do.
You know?
There's a place in
Or are they afraid?
England, I think, that shut down. They stopped pushing the whole gender.
There's a few places around the country,
stuff.
around the world that have shut down those hormone therapy things.
Yep.
And,
Because of the chemical castration
because
thing?
they're realizing the effect that it's having on young kids, which is getting in. Now this is going to get me into the next video.
Okay.
You guys always give me my transition so well. So
this is where they're like, don't follow America. There.
But this is from Boston's Children's Hospital. So this is another form of the experts talking about what they are offering.
Gender
now.
affirming hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus. Some gender affirming hysterectomies will also include the removal of the ovaries, but that's technically a separate procedure called a bilateral oophorectomy. And not every gender affirming hysterectomy includes that, and people who are getting gender affirming hysterectomies do not have to have their ovaries removed.
Yeah, let's get a cute little kindergarten teacher looking
Boston Children's
Hospital.
With
Let me just
with some
leave that
nice
up there.
music,
little sunny music in the background.
Right.
Make it seem like it's nothing.
Personality.
But look what it says: when the world comes for answers.
Yeah.
And I want to make a point here. I don't think that these hospitals and these institutions care one bit about a child and their
affirmation,
or their affirmation confirmation in a wrong or right body.
Yeah.
I think what they care about is
dollars, baby.
They have looked and they have looked. Listen.
That's
let me
you
tell
know
you
how
something. I
much
used to work-
money they will make.
Yes, and I want to say this, right? I used to work in retail, and I worked for Wegmans, Strawbridge's, all this stuff. If we get together on a Monday morning to talk about numbers, I can only imagine what corporations and these entities are doing to discuss projections for the next 10, 20, 30 years in terms of the monetary gain. This has nothing to do with assigning the right gender to kids and caring about children. This is everything to do with the money in the background.
Mm-hmm. That's the what is a woman? The interview.
Yeah,
that's what the woman that transitioned into a man.
Right, because they're getting what, like $70 a pop for this?
Yeah, children, and that's what it's
and
about.
they're looking at a new market, and that's
they're looking at the market.
That's the thing. It's marketing, and how can we market it in a way where we'll win people
Right.
over. A wise man wins souls.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're not just going to sell the surgery, you got to sell the medication. This is not a one and done thing for anybody who's confused.
Yeah.
Once you have this transitional surgery, you're biologically a woman, you're biologically a man, your body's still going to perform. So you have to take these synthetic drugs to maintain this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so
keep your body
there's
from acting
the money coming in from the surgery, the initial, and then the follow up with the doctors, and then the medication that you're going to be on for the rest of your life.
And then the complications.
Right. Then the complication. Then we got the medications for that. So this is not just about assigning the right gender or anything. It's about the amount of money they're about to pour into these institutions.
Yeah. And that's how do you combat that? You have to know that it's all about the solutions. And that's the issue. We're looking at how people feel. People are looking at how they feel. And you can even connect that to, you feel like you're fat.
Right.
You're feeling overweight. Go do this thing or get this product.
Right.
The remember the ab roller, right? Like
no, the ab roller was that thing. Remember?
Yeah.
The ab roller
was it? No,
you're talking about the wheel.
The wheel.
The wheel is a different
that
thing.
Was a different one.
Ab roller was that thing that every mom had one. Mom had one with that thing.
Do you remember the belt that sent like shots?
Yeah. That was only a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yo,
10
all
years
them
ago.
gimmicks, man.
Yeah. But it never stopped though.
It never stopped.
But my point is that true wisdom is long-term solutions.
Yeah.
Right. It's. I like to say like the solutions that come from God are the eternal solutions, right? But then you have the earthly solutions that are just quick fixes, right?
Right.
You'll never get to the root of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to deal with the surface things. So the marketing is to that. They want to. It's a quick fix.
Yeah.
And how they get you is off of empathy again.
Right.
It's off of how you feel and fixing how you feel.
Yeah.
And that's what you're dealing with in a lot of these issues. So it's just this or anything else. Our ignorance is in looking at the surface things that bring about solutions that are not long term, because we're not even thinking that far. We're just thinking about, I got this in front of me. I need to deal with it,
And I think that's why I was pointing out because I think we're in an era of feeling so much that people aren't really thinking about the monetary aspect of it. It's almost like that doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
But when you explain to people like, listen, you have to think just for a second, just stop and think about the corporate interest and greed attached to this. You know what I'm saying? This is not about them helping kids.
Yeah.
This is about the amount of money that they're gonna get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was trying to find. There's another video I saw too of another hospital doing the same thing.
Yeah,
like putting out these promo videos about gender affirming,
right?
Hormone treatments and surgeries. I couldn't find it, but it's there's so many. These hospitals know what's coming here.
The good thing is around the world they're getting shut down.
Yeah,
it's just not America yet.
Right.
In America,
they're also shutting down these vaccinations for kids too.
Yeah,
in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not here yet.
Can I read this
ridiculous
comment real quick?
Go ahead.
From Emma, I saw it.
Emma said, told someone I just need respect from her, and she flipped out. Laugh out loud. And now we're barely talking. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
I would say, like, maybe you didn't say it in the right way. Like,
or
I would
maybe,
say maybe she's not
she ain't
the one.
ready to respect you.
She's not the one.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, sometimes you got to lead with love. You know what I mean? Like, because there's people who they're not going to see it your way, but you can win them over.
This is what I'll say. Let me put this out there for Emma, because you like a brother, man. We love you. You shouldn't have to tell a woman she needs to respect you. If you have the right one, and if you are in a position of leading her, it will just happen. She'll respect you and she will honor you. And the right woman knows that. The right woman knows what it means to play her role in a relationship. And you will never have to tell her that.
I don't think that's true.
I think it is.
I don't. Because women are women. And when we get caught up in our feelings, we're going to lash out. Women are going to lash out in that way. And that's why we get into... There's going to be fights. There's going to be arguments. Nothing
But
you
having
know.
a fight and having an argument is not the same as
it's not the
telling a
same as
woman you
disrespecting.
should
Yeah.
respect me.
Yeah.
But
You know what I mean?
But that comes from having fights. If you're not seeing things in the right way, like if two people aren't on the same page with something, somebody might say something that seems disrespectful. You get what I'm saying? And then it's like, okay, and then if you go,
but saying
like,
something that seems disrespectful is different than outwardly knowing that someone doesn't respect you and telling them that, like, I need you to respect me.
well, it's all
You know
how,
what I mean? Like saying like you said that, so that's disrespectful is not the same as like this person doesn't respect
It
me.
is if you view it that way.
Yeah.
If somebody says something that is disrespectful and you view it as that's disrespectful, you don't you just disrespect me, so I need respect. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You can view
what
it
I'm
that
saying
way.
is what I'm saying is one disrespectful comment doesn't make you think someone doesn't respect you
A
completely.
lot of people do.
But then
That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that to him is that like they might have said something that seems like it's disrespectful, but a lot of times people are hurt. You know, they speak out of their hurt. That's how we get into these conflicts, and actually loving them past that. And then you say, "Listen, this is what I saw, but why did you say that?" Like even talking in that way, like, "Well, why'd you say what you said?" You get what I'm saying? You get deeper into. Okay, well, maybe it's not that she really, it's not that she doesn't respect me. It's that this is how she dealt with things in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Like, because when you hear these things, you don't, where you're at, I don't know where he's at in his life, you know, and how he deals with things. He might look at something like somebody says something, oh, they're being disrespectful. They just disrespected me, you know, but it might be, well, they did it out of hurt because they don't feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? But when you have conversations and you're able to get past that, like if you just say when somebody says something to you and it is hurtful because they acting out of the hurt from traumas, right? And you just lash back at them like you need to respect me.
right.
Now you already created the thing. You're not going deeper. Is what I'm saying. Because you could go, well, why did you say that? What makes you think that?
Right.
Why do you think that about me? You get what I'm saying? Like to go deeper. And then a lot of times people will open up. Oh, well, I said this because in my past, usually people go back to what they dealt with in their past.
Right.
You know,
But I still don't think that in a situation where you're dealing with someone in a relationship, you know if a person respects you or not.
Or they're in their feelings because
Yeah,
you know,
like,
you got
just
into an
because-
argument or something.
there's a difference.
I understand
And-
what he's saying,
and
but I also get what Jake is saying too.
For me, like I still stand by. You shouldn't have to tell someone you need to respect me. You shouldn't have to tell someone that.
I think
like,
that
you-
goes both ways. Like you shouldn't have to tell somebody you need to respect me, even in terms of, well, if they're disrespecting you, maybe there's what is the reason behind it. I
Yeah,
don't
but
have to tell them.
none of that is counter to what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying you can look at it in that way too, with what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you said that you don't agree with me, but I'm saying that when you're in a relationship with somebody, just because you guys get into an argument or just because someone says something that you find disrespectful doesn't mean that you automatically think they don't respect you. If you have the feeling that they don't respect you, then it might be because that's not the one that's gonna like they're not. This is not a person that understands how to respect you. Like if me and my wife, like I know that there's respect there, but if we get into a situation where she says something that is disrespectful, that's not gonna. I'm gonna be like, well, why'd you say that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I might say like, yo, that's disrespectful. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that I feel like she doesn't respect me.
But see, just because you do that doesn't mean other people. Some people don't perceive. They don't even get that far, and then you wonder why you can't have relationships with people. You get what I'm saying? Like there's people who they automatically say, "Oh, I'm being disrespected." Like our perceptions are based off of where we are.
But there's a difference between I'm being disrespected and you don't respect me. That's my you know, like there's everybody is gonna have a different gauge on things,
Yeah.
right? But I'm saying if you have the discernment to know whether or not someone respects you or not. I think you do.
I don't agree. Discernment comes from you gotta come from a place of discernment, and that takes time. Like it all depends where you are.
I think that you have it, and people just they will make excuses or they will be blind to it for other reasons.
Yeah,
It could be a building block or it can be a filter.
Yeah.
Filter the bad out or build.
The key to it all is dialogue and
Yeah,
respecting each
communication.
other enough to listen
I don't
to
know him
each other.
very much, but I would say you want to.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Go ahead. You can say what you was saying, James.
I don't know Emma very much, but I'll say, dating is for data. You get information, but one of the things I would encourage you to do, because we don't know how things may affect us from what these brothers are saying, but I would say what you could do is sit down with her and say, listen, let's set a parameter for discussion. No cursing, no screaming, and let's go from there. You know what I mean? If you feel disrespected, because maybe it could be her tone, maybe it's the way she's elevating her voice that you feel disrespected or something like that. So maybe set that tone, be like, all right, we're not gonna raise our voice, we're not gonna curse, let's talk. And you set the parameters for debate. We're not gonna ad hominems. You're not gonna attack me. I'm not gonna attack you.
Right.
But let's focus on the issue. So things that happened 2 months ago, a week ago, we don't need to focus on that.
Yeah.
What bothers you right now? Let's set the tone for that. And if that person can't get through, because those rules are not just for her, it's for you too. If that person can't abide by those rules,
you have your answer.
You have your answer.
Communication. That's the
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to, it's like, I feel like part of the thing is this, I want to win. Like, I've learned a long time ago, like when you're arguing with somebody and you tell someone, calm down, it hypes them up even more because they don't want to be told calm down.
Yeah.
But if you say, hey, listen, slow down, I want to understand you.
Yeah.
It changes it. Because if you say...
Or even, why are you getting so upset?
Yeah.
What's the reason?
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Just...
Yeah. And like I said, for me, I learned that through when I used to do my previous career, which is shoplifting. It's a tense situation, so you don't want to go out there, getting ready to fight somebody because it's fight or flight for them. So instead of saying calm down, we say slow down, relax. I want to talk to you. I want to understand. And a lot of times in that moment, it's what we see with the good cops, the bad cop thing. It's a lot of times, it's the way both parties are talking to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of times people, especially in relationships, like you said, it's about I want to win, and people aren't being genuinely honest.
And I've done it too. It doesn't. I mean, it makes you feel good because you want to do the Rain Man dance on the head,
Right.
But it's not gonna get you anywhere. So if you set the tone and you say, listen, no cursing, we're not gonna curse at each other, and we're not gonna attack each other.
Right.
So me not putting away the dish 5 weeks ago or leaving the toilet seat up, that's not conducive to this argument. If it's something I did now, you know what I mean, or whatever it is.
Well, dating would be a little different, but
but yeah, if whatever the situation,
whatever.
Yeah. But I would say like how we see it is key, and you got to see it from their side. Intimacy is key, and I'm not talking about intimacy sexually. I'm talking about intimacy with somebody.
Yeah.
Communion with somebody is communication. And it's truly like my heart's open to you to understand where you're coming from, and your heart has to be open to me. I mean, that's the key because it changes. Now I'm open to change my perspective, and you're open to change your perspective. And then things can shift because I might think, and this has happened to me, like my wife, because of what she's been through in her life, even growing up in her house, like when I get hype in how I talk, y'all know, like, but that doesn't mean that I'm mad.
Right.
But she would perceive it in that way, and then she's like, "Calm down." But I'm calm. It's just I'm excited and
passion.
I'm passionate about where we're going, you know, and what's going on. Now I'm not mad, you know what I mean, but I'm excited. So you might misperceive me and then misjudge me and then mishandle it, right? But when she says it, it's like, oh no, that's not what it is. Like she might, well, the way you say things sometimes, it makes me feel this way. okay, that's not my intention. You get what I'm saying? When we have these conversations, it makes sense. But where does that come from in you? Oh, because it was the way your father talked to you and what happened in that way. So,
but there is lines there, right? Because if you're just, because someone could easily be like, well, that's just the way I'm used to talking. But if someone is, like he was saying, if they're cursing you out,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
Like there's lines,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't
So
be like,
there's
I'm used to cussing everybody out.
Yeah,
Don't cuss at me.
there's certain things that you as a person will say, okay, I'm not putting up with that though. Like that's not for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's where we have to hold to our own rules and what, like.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think if you're honest in a relationship, like, because even if you're in a moment of an argument, like sometimes something that maybe you did does warrant someone getting mad and cursing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I deserve that. You know what I mean? But if you're getting all hype for something little,
right?
It's like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can't set the rules and then break the rules.
Right.
You can't be like, all right, I'm not gonna curse, but then I'm gonna get, and then you're passionate and
yeah,
you know.
I'm just saying, like, the point I'm trying to make is like, there's always, you have to make the decision of like, is this for me? You know what I mean? Like, is this behavior for me,
Right.
or is that beyond my line?
Because it could be cultural
of,
too.
Yeah,
It could be cultural.
It is. You know what I mean?
It could be cultural too. And when I say culture, I don't mean black culture, white culture. I mean a home culture.
Yeah.
I mean the upbringing that somebody has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It could mean
Or
that too.
countries,
you know?
like people say
But-
things differently.
But you know, like you ever heard that term? You ever heard that term home training?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who live in the same proximity to each other, but their households are different. You know what I mean? So I think that sometimes it could very well be that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my father-in-law curses in his thing. I don't think he
Our dad.
Yeah, I don't think he means it like that. But for me, I took it as disrespect because my dad didn't curse.
Right.
So I had to set a tone like, listen, I'm okay with you being you, but don't go that far.
Right.
Because that I can't accept that. That's
Right,
not who, you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Because if I started
Setting
doing that to you,
boundaries.
if I said that to you, would you find that disrespectful?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could be my son. Well, you could be my dad.
Yeah.
You should set the tone.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think it's that. You have to let people know how much I can take. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean you're weak or anything like that. It just means like, listen, there's a limit.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. This is what I'm not gonna like. There's certain things where it's like, I don't need to understand why you call me.
Men
this.
sort that out different because we all know, like as men, there's a certain way you're gonna tolerate me talking to you.
Yeah.
Where it's gonna be a physical fight. And I think with women, women don't sort things out like that. So a lot of times, the way in an argument, a woman might say something that may trigger a man, and then you think it's like, I want to get back at her, and then you're right into you're playing that game because then it would lead to physical assault. You know, what I mean?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Emma wrote back. He said she actually brought up questions about African dudes and the African culture about women being forced into submission. She came with the decision with her guard up, and we couldn't even have a good conversation. Yeah, well then, see that's the boundary, right? In that situation, that's where it's like, all right, well, if you can't have a conversation, and you already make your mind up, well then that's where I can't do anything for you.
Right.
See, that's disrespectful, and you're right, because that's connected to honor with men.
Yeah.
Like women can't. If you already have your mind made up about me, then there's nothing I can do.
She's just trying to look for him to be like, well, I'm not one of those guys.
Or she's letting you know that she's not going to submit.
yeah.
She's never going to submit.
So
she's
let me
letting you know I'm not that type.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And you can let them know, like, listen, if you're gonna judge me based off of the way you think African men are, then you'll never know how I am.
Right.
So then if you want to know how I am, we can have that conversation. But because you already have your mind made up, and that's where you draw the line. Like, if you want to come over this line, see, that's the line right there.
Yeah.
You want to come over this line, you'll know how I am.
Right.
See, that's honor.
Yeah, and I'm
You
willing
know?
to have the conversation, but you can't come in with preconceived notions.
You got to drop the guard.
Yeah.
You have to be vulnerable.
I'm gonna give you a backstory. Again, I don't know you, Emma, but I met my wife in 2014, and we had this conversation because there is a stigma. I don't know if you guys know this.
Africans and West Indian men.
West Indian men, we're very chauvinistic and we're old school, and we're not, because our culture, we didn't go through feminism, so there's none of that. They think every woman is down there being beaten and cooking all day and making babies.
Get in the kitchen, woman.
Which is far from the truth. My dad is nothing like that. And I know plenty of men from the Caribbean that are not like that. But anyway, my wife asked me about what do you think about that? I said, what I think about that, I said, I think about exactly what the Bible says. Husband loves your wives, and wives. So, see, you missed that part.
Yeah, right.
Husband loves your wife because you want that part.
Right.
And wives submit to your husbands,
Yeah.
right? So it's telling you that this is what you have to do. You have to love them, and then they will submit to you.
Right.
So you can't want the love part and then question the submission part. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, where are you coming from with this? But I was able to realize that she was just more curious because this is what she heard.
Right.
But once I explained to her, like, no. And then I think, too, Emma, I don't know your family situation, but if your family is here and you're able to bring her around your family, if your family is an intact family, the best thing you could do with a potential spouse is bring them around your relatives, bring them around let them see your home life.
Yeah.
Shaniqua saw my sisters.
Mm-hmm.
She saw my dad. She met you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I was saying and I was talking about matched up.
Yeah.
And then that was the end of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and that's what now you're seeing, and you're willing to see deeper into somebody, and then you see the way they are and the way things work, and then you start to trust more. Most of the time, people say the things they do and are disrespectful because they've been hurt before and they don't trust. That's why it says, husbands, love your wives as what? Christ loves the church.
Yeah.
So we're loving,
and the church is messy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we? This is the reason why, like, most people don't. You say Jesus and people don't get it, and they already have preconceived notions of who he is, because the church has had a bad representation of Jesus, right? Because they are rebellious, right? If the church is rebellious and they're not really submitting to Jesus, then why would anybody else submit?
Right.
You know
Because
what I mean?
the church and the body of Christ and Jesus is the typology of how a marriage should work. It's a representation of that.
And if you don't come to the one who loves you, right, in honor, you'll never really get to know him.
Right.
And that's the same point. Like, if she can't come and say, this is what I heard about you African men, but I'm going to choose to, is that who you are?
Yeah.
No. Okay, so you let me know who you are.
Yeah.
Right? That's,
or like,
it's already building a deeper
and even
relationship.
like someone who you could see is a little bit like more mature than that, to be like, this is what I've heard about African men. Why is that? Like, is this what you know? Like, is this how your family is? Is this how you are? You know what I mean? Like, someone who doesn't just say, all right, I'm believing this because I've heard it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And the good thing is this, if the woman does love and respect you, that'll be the end of it, because she'll see the evidence of that. She'll see the fruit of the family, and she'll see your surrounding. You could prove that to her. Now, where men mess up is they put on the facade and then they mess up, and she's like, aha, you're exactly, she catches you. So you have to make sure that this is truly who you are, If you're a man of integrity, you're a man of honor,
Truth sometimes is
Let her
not
see it.
knowing what to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Because we're work in progress, right? Like, I have them conversations with my wife all the time. Like, I don't know, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to it. I'm not gonna quit.
And sometimes she may not even know what that means. From a lot of times, people just don't know, and it's not a knock against them. It's just that it's a situation, and so they didn't choose it. It's just the circumstance that they're in. So it may not be something they're familiar with. You know what I mean?
It's okay not to know.
Yeah. They may not know what a good home and a loving relationship looks like, So they're on edge because maybe the people who are around them who are jaded by what has happened to them, mothers, fathers, or whatever, aunties, may have given them a perspective that they already have. That preconceived notion of chauvinism resonates with them. So they're like, they think that this is like, whoa, I got to look out for this dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could be
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier with like the empathy thing and being brought forward these solutions. Like if you get together with your girlfriend and she dated an African man and she tells you, oh, African men ain't ish, and they're all the same, and then you agree with that. Well, you've just come into agreement with a lie.
Yeah.
Because now you agree that they're all that way. So how can you see anything differently?
Exactly.
You know, you just put that stigma on them.
Yeah.
That's not. They didn't do that. You did that.
Right.
And you came in agreement with that.
Yeah.
And that's an easy solution for people to do. Like, because it settles it, and then they can go on comfortably with their life and their settlement when it's not that easy.
Yeah.
There's no grace there.
All right, we got a little off track because
All
of
right.
Emma. So I had some more videos to show. I'm gonna skip by them. Let's get into the stuff that you sent, Jake.
Okay.
So
That was a good off track.
Yeah,
though.
it was. It was.
Thank you,
That was a good conversation.
Yeah.
About relationships. I'm always down to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
So you sent me some stuff, some more videos with Thomas Sowell.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is that sound? You guys hear that?
Yeah, I
heard
heard it.
Yeah.
Thomas Sowell and Milton Friedman. And what are we getting into though? Because I didn't really.
It's about socialism. I'll say it's about socialism. You can even say it's about the same thing we're talking about. How people get given these solutions that seem good, seem right, because it kind of gives you a perspective. And I think that's what we're given these easy and quick fixes, but it keeps us in our victim mentality. Like I just said, African men ain't ish.
Yeah.
And then what happens is if you believe that, now you become a victim of African men, and you never even had a relationship with one, right?
But you believe it.
But you believe it. So now you have to stay in. That's like a realm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A victim of doctrine.
Yeah. It's a burden. And now you agree with that. So you create that. And now the more people you get in that, it can turn into a mob mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's all based off of rebellion and disrespect and dishonor. So
yeah,
Marxism and socialism is kind of where I'm going with.
So the first video is about Thomas Sowell talking about how he became a Marxist. Okay.
Right, in his early age.
Right.
And I think it was 20 or around that time.
Yeah.
Now, you've also written that throughout your 20s, you were a Marxist.
Yes.
What did that to you? Was that Fair Harvard's work?
No, heavens no. That was when I was 20 years old. That was when I first came across some stuff by Marx. And what he said seemed to explain the world around me. And one of the reasons is
that's key right there. Explain the world around me.
Yeah.
I just want to.
Yeah.
What explain what he went through?
What I'm seeing. Yeah.
It was a solution.
Then and now, they don't really get any alternative explanation. And so it's like you have to have a candidate to be the candidate.
So what was, you grow up in Harlem, you went to Howard before going to Harvard.
Yeah.
So you're largely in a black world, an African-American world. When you say Marx explained the world around you, do you mean to say that he explained the world of segregation?
No. But for example, my first job was as a Western Union messenger. I was 16 years old. My first full-time job. And I used to, on some evenings, come home instead of taking the subway, which was a nickel in those days. I would splurge and take the Fifth Avenue bus, which was 15 cents. If I was feeling,
You'd gotten a good tip.
Yeah. And so we'd start out from 23rd Street and go all the way up Fifth Avenue, past all the glittering places, and we would turn left at 57th Street and go out past more glittering places, including Carnegie Hall.
Right.
And then we'd turn up around Columbus Circle, up Broadway, and then out to Riverside Drive, all the fancy stuff there. And then at 135th Street, we'd come in off a viaduct, and immediately there'd be the tenements. And of course, this is where I lived. And I went, what is this? And Marx seems to explain that.
Got it. Now, you've also written that throughout.
So you see how like he came into that because he had no other explanation.
Yeah.
And as he went and started to become more intellectual, reading books, that was an explanation for the life he lived. Right.
For seeing the difference in wealth disparagement.
Right.
Yeah.
And two, I want to add to this because I've watched these videos many a time.
Yeah.
I would say this, right? You know, I think sometimes people forget that perspective is where you're standing. So it's easy for us to say, man, look at these kids out here acting up. They don't have no love for their city. They don't care. Really, he's talking about, if you take his words and you say, look at a kid in those areas. They have no education, no access to any of those things. What are they going to turn to? You know, they get to a certain point, they can't read or write. And studies have shown that if you're a young boy or girl, especially boys, and you can't read past age 10, it's like, it's done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then within that 5 years, you're going to turn to a life of crime because you really can't perform basic tasks at that point in time. You know what I mean? So you seeing those kind of things, that's how it's applicable to now is imagine you're watching all of these things, but now it's not just on the bus ride, it's social media. It's Instagram, it's all those things. And how do you get to it? That's how it applies to this world.
Yeah.
And it's easy to fulfill yourself to fill yourself with things that are, again, quick fixes. Like, you know what? Like, how many times we've seen these? You know why the white man is doing like, and it becomes like this caricature again. But it's the thing, like they give you the answer, right?
Yeah.
And then if you like, that makes sense. That's what happens. That makes sense.
Yeah, because you're seeing a version of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay,
that was.
I watched a documentary on Clarence Thomas, and it seems like they all go through the same thing because he went through
Clarence Thomas is
Supreme Court Justice.
Supreme Court Justice.
Just so people know.
The first black one.
The
actual
one,
first
not
black
the
one.
The actual first black dude.
Yeah.
So he ended up going to live with his grandparents, and his grandfather was, you know, a tough dude. Like, you know, you're gonna go to school, you're gonna do this, and if you're living in my house, you're obeying by my rules, and I'm gonna put you through college. So he went to college, and he gets, you know, into a group where it was like, you know, it takes him left, like Marx. I don't think it was Marxism. It was more like Black Panther-ish.
Okay.
The roots are Marxist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same deal. That's why I'm trying to compare the two.
Right.
But then, you know,
more activist though.
Yeah. And then it seems like they all are trying to find themselves.
Stories,
You know,
But young people in general, don't you guys think that though? Like, there's a time when you're young and you're youthful that, you know, though your parents have, whether it's liberal or conservative, you kind of want to find your own thing.
Absolutely.
It's
You know
like
what I mean?
rebellion, and
I went through
also
that.
trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
Trying to find answers.
Yeah, it's
you know,
not an
in life.
unfamiliar story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a connection to, again, the over masculinity that happened in, you know, probably our grandfather's time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hyper-masculinity.
Right.
And then because our dad came through that, and then it's like you kind of rebel against that a little bit. Then right after that, you have the feminist movement and the free love, the sexual
movement.
revolution.
Yeah,
you
the
know, all these things.
Drug revolution.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a natural rebellion from those things, you know. But and then we see it and we're like, yeah, you want to find your own way, but then it's like, that's stupid or that's foolish. You really should, if you like, that's why it says honor your mother and your father. Just because they are not all there doesn't mean that what they have can't support you and is valuable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're learning that's very important. You know, you can't, just because something happened, you can't just want to find your own way. Because what's more foolish? To go out there and try to figure it all out yourself, or to listen and if your parents are together and they have a house, at least that's wisdom.
Yeah.
Just that little bit. You get what I'm saying? That's something that you can build off of. Doesn't mean that they're the end all to be all, but when you dishonor them and say everything you have to say means nothing, I'm going to go out and find my own way.
Right.
Well, it's like, you guys remember that video I sent you about this guy I follow? He has a tiling company, and he is Ukrainian, and he talked about involving his children. He has a 8 and 10-year-old, and he brings them regularly to his job sites. And he says this, because that's not the first video he did. He talked about having his kids understand the value of money and seeing the value of work, but more importantly, showing them that because to them it's just, I want this thing.
Yeah.
So by him showing them what's involved in getting this, they now have a deeper understanding. Like, wow, this takes a lot of labor for dad to get this thing. So I think one of the things we've missed as parents in the society is not showing kids. I'm not talking about having them go power wash the house and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about involving them in the task of life to show them that the things that they're asking for comes at a great price.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they understand it, they get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
If the government is the master,
This
if
is
society
Milton
is to be
Friedman.
run from the center,
Yep.
what are you doing? You ultimately have to order people what to do. What is your ultimate sanction?
He just
Go
said
back a ways. Take it on a mile.
He just said if the government is your master, right?
Yeah.
And that's key.
I think a lot of people have submitted to that idea.
Yeah. Master means, what is a master? People don't want to be enslaved, but to be like the old way of seeing, when we look at slavery, we look at, the African American slavery, but
Slave trade, yeah.
slave trade, but the slavery, especially like when you look at the Bible and talks about slavery, it's more about coming into debt, not being able to take care of the things that you have, and then giving it over to somebody who can act, because you can't take care of it. You're either going to lose it. You're going to lose it anyway. Right. And why would that happen? Because people wouldn't honor their parents, and they would lose the knowledge and the wisdom that their parents had to be able to keep the things that they had. And when they do that, now they got to give it over to somebody who can deal with it.
Right.
Now you become a servant.
Yeah.
Or a slave to a master. Right. And that's a lack of, that's irresponsibility.
Yeah.
So when you want to give everything over to somebody and you want them to do it for you, and they become your master. And the sleight of hand.
Can you explain that though? Give something over to somebody. What do you mean? Like, when you say that, our society, how does that correlate? Like,
he's saying, like, when you would rather sacrifice responsibility for convenience, for example.
Yeah, and
it creates room.
It creates room for you to now become a slave to a master who's going to provide those conveniences for you.
Right.
It happens in every situation.
Which is, that's what we're trying to show people, is that these bodies, governmental bodies, parties, are all too willing to do this.
Yes.
Excuse me.
To the point where they will create a situation where you have no choice but to give over your responsibility.
Right, because you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And the corruption is that it's not about people teaching people how to keep what they have and grow in what they have. It's about trying to get them to give up what they have.
Right.
And that's what's
willingly.
happening. Right. That's the swindle. That's the craftiness
Right.
of the serpent, you could say.
Right.
That's what happened in the Bible. Like, if you look at the Old Testament, if you look at Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, Isaiah prophesied about this stuff. What was happening when Israel was about to get, or Judah was about to get kicked out of the land. Judah, the tribe of Judah, was about to get kicked out of the land, or like be put into bondage in slavery of Babylon.
Right.
What happened was they were swindling people out of their properties, right? They were crafty. They were figuring out ways to get people to give up their property.
Almost like the banking system.
Yeah.
Almost like
credit card
mortgages and property taxes.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And
they
then
called it usury.
Yeah, usury
Right.
is the term.
And then they would these people would go into slavery, right? They would become their slaves.
Yeah.
But they were doing it in a swing. There's a difference when you are just irresponsible and then you need to go into slavery because you're irresponsible. But then these people are saying, no, let me take this over for you. Let me, you know what? I'm going to help you in this area.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like actually, see, it's a false help.
Yeah.
You know, so this is what's happening. We didn't even get into the video yet,
No.
but just the understanding, like, this is what socialism is about.
Right. It's
in
about
government.
giving over all of your responsibility to the
And this
government.
guy is Milton Friedman. He's a famous economist. Passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But he is very brilliant. He has a lot of ideas. And a lot of things he talked about pretty much is actually happening.
Yeah. He predicted a
It
lot.
sounds good, no responsibility, and you get stuff. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then who does it
Sounds
sound
really
the
good.
best to? Kids. You know?
Level. Whenever you try to do good with somebody else's money, you are committed to using force. How can you do good with somebody else's money unless you first take it away from them? The only way you can take it away from them is by the threat of force. You have a policeman, a tax collector, who comes and takes it from them. This is carried much farther. If you really have a socialist society, if you have an organization from the center, if you have supposed government bureaucrats running things, that can only ultimately rest on force. But whenever you resort to force, even to try to do good, you must not question people's motives. Maybe they're evil sometimes, but look at the results of what they do. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Assume their motives are good. You know, there's an old saying about the road to hell being paved with good intentions. You have to look at the outcome. And whenever you use force, the bad moral value of force triumphs over good intentions. The reason is not only
Hold on.
that famous Afro...
What did he say?
Hold on, let's play it again. Because he said the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and then he expounded on that.
The reason is not only that famous aphorism of Lord Acton, only triumphs over good intentions. The bad moral value of force triumphs over good intentions.
The bad moral value of choice triumphs...
Of force.
Triumphs over good intentions.
The reason is not only that famous aphorism of Lord Acton. You all know it, you've all heard it. Absolute power corrupts. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's the whole aphorism. That's one reason why trying to do good with methods that involve force lead to bad results. Because the people who set out with good intentions are themselves corrupted. And I may add, if they're not corrupted, they're replaced by people with bad intentions who are more efficient at getting control of the use of force. But also, the fundamental reason is more profound. The most harm of all is done when power is in the hands of people who are absolutely persuaded of the purity of their instincts, and the purity of their intentions. Thoreau said that philanthropy is a much overrated virtue. Sincerity is also a much overrated virtue. Heaven preserve us from the sincere reformer who knows what's good for you and by heaven is going to make you do it whether you like it or not. That's when you get the greatest harm done. I have no reason to doubt that Lenin was a man whose intentions were good. Maybe they weren't. But he was completely persuaded that he was right and he was willing to use any methods at all for the ultimate good. Again, it's interesting to contrast the experience of Hitler versus Mussolini. Mussolini was much less of a danger to human rights because he was a hypocrite. Because he didn't really believe what he was saying. He was just in there for the game. He started out as a socialist. He turned to a fascist. He was willing to be bribed by whoever would bribe him the most. As a result, there were at least some protections against his arbitrary rule. But Hitler was a sincere fanatic. He believed in what he was doing. And he did far greater harm.
Yes. So the intentions thing is key. We can have good intentions, or we can be sincere, right?
Yeah.
And if you're sincere, people take that as like a virtue, right? But if you're sincere, but you're ignorant, what is that?
Yeah.
That's not going to help you.
Right.
Right. So our sincerity has to be under an authority. Right. Then we grow. Like it's amazing if you're sincere in wanting to know the truth and you submit yourself to somebody who actually knows the truth. Right. But when you're sincere in wanting to know the truth, but you submit yourself to somebody who's a liar,
right,
you're going to come out with a horrible outcome, right? And that's the problem. So, like he's talking about Mussolini. Mussolini didn't sincerely want to bring forth this socialism, because then he became a fascist. He got bribes and everything, like he was saying. He just really wanted to be something.
He wanted to be powerful,
right?
Yeah.
But Hitler really believed in what he was doing, right? That's an ideology that destroy. It's a lot worse, and he believed that it was pure, right? He believed it was like actually separated, set apart, pure. I'll say holy, right? But
righteous,
right? But it was the complete opposite.
Yo, Simone.
Yo,
you come here for a second?
Are we still live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be. Why?
Oh,
Lost
yeah.
it?
Okay. I lost it.
I did too.
Are we not live anymore, John?
I think it might be my
No,
phone.
we're live.
Yeah, I think the internet maybe. Because I'm on Wi-Fi. So.
All right.
Charge? Was it simply because Stalin took over from Lenin that communism went the way it did? Has capitalism succeeded despite the immoral values that pervade it? I think the answer to both questions is in the negative. The results have arisen because each system has been true to its own values. Or rather, a system doesn't have values, I don't mean that, has been true to the values it encourages, supports, and develops in the people who live under that system. What we're concerned with in discussing moral values here are those that have to do with the relations between people. It's important to distinguish between two sets of moral considerations. The morality that is relevant to each of us in our private life, how we each individually conduct ourselves, behave. And then what's relevant to systems of government and organization are the relations between people. And in judging relations between people, I do not believe that the fundamental value is to do good to others, whether they want you to or not. The fundamental value is not to do good to others as you see they're good. It's not to force them to do good. As I see it, the fundamental value in relations among people is to respect the dignity and the individuality of fellow men. To treat your fellow man not as an object to be manipulated for your purpose, but to treat him as a person with his own values and his own rights, a person to be persuaded, not coerced, not forced, not bulldozed, not brainwashed. That seems to me to be a fundamental value in social relations. Whenever we depart from voluntary cooperation and try to do good by using force, the bad moral value of force triumphs over good intentions. And you realize this is highly relevant to what I am saying, because the essential notion of a capitalist society, which I'll come back to, is voluntary cooperation, voluntary exchange. The essential notion of a socialist society is fundamentally force.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like you force good upon people is it's truly in root.
Yeah.
Not good.
Mm-hmm.
And what true good is to love people. The goodness of God leads us to repentance, or the kindness of God leads us to repentance. So understanding, like, it's kind of like this. That's why families are so important, right? Because within a family, you learn how to live in authority, right? And that's why, like, if the son doesn't listen to the father's authority, well, then that's okay, but you can't be here.
Right.
That's okay, but you can't live within my house because you want to do your own thing. So you can go out there, and I respect your decision to leave
Yeah.
and do your own thing. But now you're going to have to deal with every consequence
Right.
that you because of your choices,
Yeah.
right? And you chose to not honor me, but you chose to think you already know. So now you got to figure it out yourself. And even in terms of how we deal and we relate to people in the world, it's the same thing. Like, I'm not going to force you. I can suggest, and we can talk and have a relationship. That's the basis of friendship. And then unity.
Yeah.
Real unity,
Mhm.
right? But you see this false unity that's coming up that everybody has to think like me because it's for the greater good. And you see that in the government. How many times in the government, in media, for the greater good?
Yeah.
That's been a thing that
the
everybody's
last
been
couple
saying.
of years, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that? You
think it's because at one time society had this idea of consequence, right? But then slowly those things have been eroded away and replaced with the non-judgmental things. So all of a sudden it's like I could do what I want and there's really no repercussions. It's like what he's saying here about a father in a house or whatever it is. But essentially, think of the people in the United States as the children.
Yeah.
They're rebelling. They're choosing drugs. They're choosing illicit sex, all those things. These are all things we participated in.
Yeah.
But the point is, as you continue to choose those things have consequence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're watching the consequence of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think to what you're saying, and also something that he said about a capitalist society is not that it's voluntary, right? But I think when it's structured under, like you said, under an authority that is righteous or holy, then it's voluntary. But when you have a capitalist society that has none of that moral standing, you insert manipulation in there because you can see that in our society, and you can see how those tactics have bled into that system where we can manipulate people
Through capitalism?
Through capitalism,
Right,
we can
of course.
manipulate people to be consumers or to be think this way.
Which we have.
Right. So then when you see the generations that's they were being told, capitalism, the greatest system in the world, America, freedom. But at the same time, we see the manipulation that's happening to us on a daily basis. We see how the media manipulates us. We see how the advertisers manipulate us. We see these things. It creates rebellion because now you have a generation of people that are like, you're lying. You're hypocrites.
Yeah.
This whole system that you guys say is we should honor and we should be proud of is full of liars.
Yeah.
You openly lie to us, and we're supposed to just accept it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's based off of desire.
Yeah.
It's not based off of integrity.
Right.
And that's like capitalism is based off of sovereignty. You know what I mean? So if you think about sovereignty, it's connected to families again.
Yeah.
Because every family is sovereign. That's
Right.
why we live in the United States of America. The unity is within the sovereignty of the states.
right.
It also go down to the counties and then go down to the towns.
Which is something they're trying to eliminate.
Right.
And that's why it comes back to you. We've given over that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've stopped being responsible because we got so comfortable.
But what made us comfortable? What do we think?
Desire, fear, think about it.
Fear of losing stuff.
Exactly. Fear of danger. What is the main reason why most of these completely like gun controlled cities have these policies in place? Is because people were made to be afraid of gun violence in a way where it's like, well, let's just put all these laws in place so that people can't get guns. You know what I mean?
Which
And
is unconstitutional.
But it sounds like the right idea because it's like, you're going to make me feel safe again.
Temporarily, yeah.
But it doesn't work.
Right, because you don't tell us that. Yeah, you're telling me you're going to make me feel safe, but then the person coming in to rob me, doesn't have that same. They're not participating in the value system.
Right, and
they're not going to follow the rules.
Exactly, and you're making me pay into a police force that is then going to be oppressive at the same time because they're like it's a whole mess. It becomes a whole mess because you're trying to legislate your way into safety. You know what I mean?
You the way you perceive law, it's I would say it's prejudice. You know, it's premature judgment. Because you said something earlier about like what did you say? People don't want to be judged, but
Yeah.
I think they don't want to be judged because they already judged themselves. They've already prejudged themselves that. Because when you judge yourself, like I judge myself that however I feel, I deserve to feel that way. That's a judgment you make on yourself, and I judge myself. So because I'm selfish now, I judge myself a better judger or a better judge over my life than my parents, right? So I'm gonna leave my parents and go to be my own judge.
Yeah.
But then I'm telling everybody around me, you can't judge me.
Yeah.
That's hypocritical.
Yeah.
You know. That's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And then I want to add in this too. I don't think people understand that those policies and those politicians, those systems that come about, which is...
Hold on real quick. Are we sure the broadcast is still good?
Says it's good for me.
Because it's saying it's been interrupted on here.
Yeah?
Yeah, go out and go back in maybe, because mine did the same
I did.
thing.
Yeah, I did do that. Hopefully it's still there.
Oh, yeah, 154.
Yeah, mine is still live over here.
Okay, well, if it's still live. My bad. Sorry,
Yeah,
James.
no problem. I was going to say, I think part of this is we don't understand that the purveyors of this, we think they're doing it because of some sort of benevolency. But again, that is a business.
Yeah.
They are into police budgets. They're into the mayor of this. They're into townships. They're into who gets to run, who's getting to bid on certain buildings. So the illusion
gonna get the federal budgets.
who's going to get certain things, what government contract. See, we have been domesticated from the business realm. A lot of Americans don't understand business. They don't get it. So really, this illusion of safety is we don't see who is going to invest into that building downtown? Who's going to get these government contracts? Who's the police chief that's going to come in? Where this money that the taxes that are being raised? So we don't see this. So to them, if they can continuously scare us into these kind of things, we'll easily give up those rights for what we think is safety. But coupled with that is crippling debt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's crippling government, more government, bigger, because they're never going to be like, you know what, guys? We've actually done a good job this last 5 years. Crime is down. So we're going to release about 50 police officers because things are actually better now. They're going to be like, no, we want more and more and more and more.
Because now you got people advocating for the jobs that you created. They don't want to give those jobs.
Lose those jobs.
No, so it never stops.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I don't people understand. It's like when you understand how business works in the sense of a corporation and how the entities trickle down, you kind of understand why it's always going to be like that. They're always going to need more and more.
You hit that on the head with the business, because I think it is like business is key, because that's key to occupation, right?
Yeah.
To occupy a space, you have to be about your business. You know what I mean? So you have to. It's about business, but it's how you're going to perform that business. So the way they want you to perform it is for their good, right? That's why it's the sleight of hand thing. It's for their good. So they're going to project it in a way towards you that it seems like it's for your good and it's fair.
Yep.
But it's not fair.
Nope.
It's actually that's why they have to keep bringing in more and more regulations, because it's not fair. And it's only fair to those who they're trying to sell it to. And then it becomes not fair to others. So now they got to make another regulation, and all these regulations just build up. And that's what equity is, right? Equity is connected to what's fair, but it's not, it's real. It's really what's fair.
Yeah.
Right. And that's connected to business, because when equity is not about, like, equality, equity are different, right? Equality is about like everything being the same, but equity is about what's just, right? And sometimes what's just don't look fair to everybody, right? But that's again connected to authority,
Yeah.
because there are justices that have to know what's just. There has to be people who understand the meaning of the law so that they can give out the law, so that they can rule over law.
Right.
If you don't understand the meaning, then you should not be ruling over law. But we got a lot of justices that are ruling over laws that they don't understand the meaning of because they're out for their self,
Right.
and they're out for other people's desires, right? They're trying to please people and please themselves at the same time. So now you have to do equality, because that's not really fair, but it's a sleight of hand fair, right? It seems like equal. It seems like just scales. But equity is really about like, I'm going to give you this because you are doing what needs to be done, right? So if I put it in your hands, you're going to do what's needed.
I think you've got it flipped, right? You're talking about equality, because equity is the one that's like you just make it the same across the board no matter what. You know what I mean? I think you got it flipped around. Like
Same outcome.
Equity is like, everyone gets the same no matter what they provide, no matter what they bring to the table.
Okay. Equality means each individual or group of people is given the same resources or opportunities. Equity recognizes that each person has different circumstances and allocates the exact resources and opportunities needed to reach an equal outcome.
Right.
Yeah, see the outcomes.
Okay.
Equal outcome.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at it from a different perspective, from a biblical perspective.
Okay.
Which is about like it's equitable judgment, which you look at the person and their need, and you give based off of their need. Right. That's the way I'm using equity.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense in that sense.
Yeah.
But people will take that
Yeah.
and totally
See, that's why we're trying to do equity.
Yeah.
Which they're not doing.
Yeah.
Which they're not doing.
Yeah, that's the way I am viewing it. So,
Right.
I'm saying equality because equality will group you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And then base it off of like, okay, they need this. But it's more about like looking at, that's why like if you're under an authority, right? That authority, if you're a father, right, in a household, simplicity of a family, you're not going to give every kid the same.
Right.
You're going to give a kid based off of their needs.
Off their needs.
That's the equity I'm talking about. And when you can see that, now you're actually, that's equitable judgment, right? That's true justice towards people. But you can look at that and think it's unfair. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because one kid will say, well, why do they get more than me? Yeah.
Right, and that's exactly what happens.
Right.
But they don't understand the judgments. You got to trust me. Right?
And as a parent, you can see which child is stronger in each area.
Yep.
So you'll know how to divvy out that.
Yeah.
Same thing with society. They'll know which one is which.
Right.
Who's contributing, who's not contributing.
Right.
But one thing I wanted to go back to was this. I think, again, not understanding business, understanding politics, because one of the things I think I've noticed, and when I started listening to these lectures, and these are long, these are extensive, and y'all can go look them up.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're in detail and stuff like that. But the politicians who said, look, we don't care about the marginalized, downtrodden groups. They're not for us anyway. They don't have the money.
Yeah.
There was another group right there like, we'll take you because we could use you. We could use your plight. We could use certain things. And they started piggybacking because when people started going back looking at the Democrats, for example, they were calling themselves the Dixiecrat. And they were the ones who started the KKK. They had certain thing. Margaret Sanger was a member of that group.
Yeah,
I mean, when you
Jim
look at
Crow.
Jim Crow, so when you start looking back on that, they were able to, as they progressed through time, they were like, wait, we can take these groups, these marginalized groups, use their plight, and get into the positions we need to get into. Which is why you can look and see any of these major cities run by them.
Right.
Look at the condition. I'm talking about 50, 60-year rule.
But like you said, what gave them that opportunity to sweep those people up? It was the fact that politics had become so corrupted by, well, we only need to do this to get elected.
Right.
Like it's not
How are we
about
gonna do it for those people?
Right. It's not about like, all right, what's the mission that really help this country and help people? Like, how do we really do this? No, it's about how do we stay in power?
Right.
And if I don't need to worry about these people over here because they don't have enough money to affect me, or they don't have enough power to get me out of office, we can ignore them. Let's focus on these people because they're the ones that are voting.
Right.
You know, eventually someone's going to come in and
Which is what
find a way to
happened.
use these people.
Which is what happened.
You know,
and that was a hard sell for the Democrats of old because they wanted nothing to do with black people.
Right.
So the younger, more liberal ones came along and said, no, we can use them. I'll give you a scene from, I think it was Mad Men. And it was a scene in where they were selling TVs.
Yeah.
And
it's a great show, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
You remember this scene? I don't know if you remember this scene.
I
could be
watched the
wrong.
whole show, but
Okay, well, I'll describe. Maybe
Yeah.
I could be wrong about this, but I just remember this distinctively because it hit me. It was them selling TVs, and the supplier did not want to sell to black people.
Okay, I remember this.
And one of the guys were like, "No, trust me when I tell you,
Yeah.
blacks buy at a higher rate,
Right.
Because they want it,
Yeah.
And he couldn't. The supplier was like, "No, I don't want to sell
Yeah.
them TVs," and he's like, "You are missing the point."
Once he showed to him the margin of how much money he was going to make,
He was like,
yeah.
"This is where,
Yeah.
this is how much we're selling in this town.
Yeah.
If we go here, we're selling this.
Yeah.
And it's reluctantly and begrudgingly he did it, and then it just, and he was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
open one in every city."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's how that works. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like when you ignore certain people, there's a group that comes along.
They find a way to use them.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not helping them. They're just using them.
No, they're not helping at all.
Right.
They're actually doing more damage
Right.
than good.
Right.
But yeah.
i.e. the social programs and all
Yeah,
stuff like
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what happens. Like they're doing things in a way to gain from them because it's not about the money more than it's about like what the politicians realized that it wasn't about the money, it was about the votes.
Yeah.
And if they could win them
What
over,
keeps them in power.
Right. And setting
Right.
up long term, right?
Yeah. But it's what we've been talking about because then they set up these social programs to keep them in a place where it's like, now you need us.
Yes, yeah.
Now you need us because
they're
we're
not
giving
gonna
you,
give it to you.
you're giving up your convenience.
We'll take care of it.
So now it's about winning people over.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Like,
Right.
again, a wise man wins souls. Like, that goes both ways.
Yeah.
So how can we win them over? How can we win the people over? Eventually, if we win them over and get their vote, eventually we're going to get the money. You know what I mean? And that's the point.
Right.
They want the money.
Yeah.
But they just want to win over the people so that they can get the money. So that,
Right.
but first you got to win over the people.
Yeah.
You know.
So you pander.
Yep. Yeah. Do you want to go through the rest of this or
Can we? Yeah, let's go to this one because
which one?
the one after that.
Okay.
But let's also understand about God in this perspective. We find a parable in Matthew chapter 25 called the parable of the talents. I'm sure you've probably heard it before. I know we've all heard it before, where an owner was going away and had 3 servants that he gave money to manage for him while he was gone. And one he gave 5, one he gave 2, and one he gave 1 talent or a bag of gold, so to speak.
Right.
Well, he came back and held them to account, and the one that had 5 did what? Became
10.
10, right. And the 2 became
4.
4, and the 1 did what with it? Do you remember?
He buried it.
He buried it in the ground.
Because he thought the master was a hard taskmaster.
That's right. He had a wrong picture of the master. It says that he said, "You're a hard taskmaster. You're harvesting where you have never."
So again, like you have an honorable master, but then you look at him and you perceive him in the wrong way, right? This is he tells him why he did what he did. This is what people do, and this you get people to go against them by thoughts in their mind, by trying to make it make sense to
Prejudging.
them.
Yeah.
And then you settle for these things. So what does he do? He buries it. He tries to hold it for himself, right? And what happens after that?
Sown, and it's going to it's not fair. So the master did something unusual, which is not politically correct in our day.
What did he do?
Well, when he settled the accounts, the guy that had the 1 talent, he buried it. Remember?
Right.
He took it from him and gave it to the guy that had
The most.
10,
Yes.
not the guy with 4. See, everyone wants to be even, right? So wait a minute. God, you made a mistake.
Or the
guy-
mindset is that you
Yeah.
should take it from somebody who has more and give it to someone who has
That's
less.
the mindset.
Which is socialism too, right?
Well, that's exactly how that works. But God is not socialist. Praise God.
Yes.
He's not. He's not. Why did God give that one talent? He took it away from the one guy. We know why he did that. He didn't do anything with it. All right. The Bible says he's wicked and lazy. He took it from him and gave it to the one with 10. Why? You have to know
tell
the
me
answer.
Why? Why did God do that?
Well, where would you invest your money?
And
With
the
the guy
person
with
has
4 or the 10?
The one that can turn it into the most.
Exactly. See, God is profit motivated. He is profit motivated. He's
Now,
going to
Gary,
give.
that doesn't fly in a lot of religious circles.
I'm
to
sorry,
say
the Bible says that.
God is profit motivated.
Yes, he is. God needs money, okay, and he is profit motivated. He is looking for people that can produce the greatest return on investment because he has things to get done in the earth realm. Okay, so we're just setting the stage now. I know that kind of threw people maybe.
Right. Well,
God
the
needs
commodity
money.
is people. The most valuable thing to God is people. He has any and everything else at his access, but people's hearts. We're trying to reach people's
Yes.
hearts.
But let's also understand about.
So it's interesting because money is not connected to God in any way, right? God doesn't have money.
Right.
Right. He doesn't want money. Money is what did Jesus say? What's the face on that?
Yeah.
It's connected to nations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the point is that everybody wants it to be fair, right? But with socialism, that's the point, fair and just. But who's he giving the money to?
The one with the most.
The one who did the best
Did
job,
the most.
right? That's he's going to give more. And the one who was lazy,
he took it away.
He took
gets
it away.
nothing.
He gets
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Because of his attitude.
You don't work, you don't eat.
How was his attitude? It was disrespectful.
Yeah.
Right? It's disrespectful. It's not that he had nothing. It's that he had nothing because he didn't go to the one who has everything. You know what I mean? So even what he had got taken away.
Yeah.
And guys, he's not out for like your money, but in order for us to grow in this world, you have to make money.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I think the church misses it because everybody there's this whole mentality of like it's kind of like a socialist mentality sometimes in the church.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like where you gotta.
It's very socialist.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Should have money.
Yeah.
You
Except
know
for
what I
the
mean?
one. Except for the pastor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, you got or it's just like the pastor shouldn't have money. The opposite of that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But why? Because it's about being a good steward. People are going to be able to. If God can trust you, He's going to give to you. And again, this is where authority comes in, right? A father is a good judge. And when I say father, I'm saying even how we see God in heaven. He's a father who's a good judge. And if we come to him and trust him, he's going to trust us with more, right? And as we give and not look at what we think is unfair, see, because he's a just judge that is going to give to us in a way that seems unfair to others. Well, why do they get that much? Why do they get these things? And it's because they're actually doing something with what they have. Right? So now that doesn't look fair to people, right? And now you have somebody who has nothing, which was the same, and they're looking at it like, well, you're a bad ruler, right? You're unjust, so I'm gonna hold on to what I got,
right?
Which is not the case, but it's the way you want to see it. So you got to give up the way you see things and come into the way he sees things. That's true authority, and now you can come into that same wealth that he has, right? And then he'll give it to you,
right?
Because he trusts you because you trust him, and you're proving your trust as you're going through it. You know, so I think like capitalism can work in that way because there's integrity, there's trust. You know what I mean? But it doesn't work when we're out for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes, again, socialism, capitalism. Capitalism only works if there's an authority in place,
Right.
and if there's a honor and trust, which
And
is connected to
moral,
integrity,
ethics, all those things are. Yeah, that's what I was
Values.
addressing earlier, because then you get corruption in there, and then rebellion ensues.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting. Like, you got a parable where it's just Jesus is just laying it
Laying
all
that
out.
out.
You
Yeah.
know, and in that parable, he says, "Occupy till I come.
Yeah.
Be about
my father's business."
business." Yeah. So it's just cool.
That's cool, man. All right. I think we'll leave it right there, man. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we started a little late. So, yeah, man, that was definitely good. Touched on a lot of good things. Thank you guys for tuning in on our first episode. This is episode 163, but our first episode in the new studio. We're going to just keep tweaking it and getting it a little bit better as we go. It's our first time in here. Not so bad.
Yeah,
not so bad. I like it.
It's good, man.
Comfortable.
Rock
Felt
it.
good. Yeah, everything's cool, man. I appreciate you guys for being here in the house. John, thanks for producing. Guys, if you want to support, don't forget patreon.com/youngliontv. Be a part of the pride. Join the kingdom. Sign up. Support what we're doing here. These conversations are important. And Cash App, Young Lion TV on Cash App if you want to hit us. Also, the website, jatan.com, if you want to get merch, music, or get some tickets to the new show on our Facebook page. We just posted it in the chat as well. August 27th, we're going to be at the Gathering Place in Philly with Joy and Peace Ike. It's going to be a great show.
Few tickets left.
Few
Let's
tickets
go.
left. Get them tickets, man, and let people know. Anybody that you want to come see a great show, get those tickets. But other than that, man, we love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Excited about the new studio. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Young lion, go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has room, yeah. Go and fight people in, ooh.